there. Good deal. Well, welcome everyone to the Chamber and the EDC Small Business Matters webinar series. I know this is one of the last ones we have planned. I know we'll have more as topics kind of make themselves available. We have about 20 people signed up for this call. So hopefully what we can do today is just learn from our two workforce professionals on our call today about issues, making sure that our workforce is resilient and can move forward. I really want to thank everyone for taking this time to come together in this matter. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Before we do, I do need to thank a few folks. Our small business champions for the Chamber are as follows: GTR Media Group, IBT, Southwest Payroll, Tulsa Drillers, Tulsa Tech, and Lamar Outdoor Advertising. We appreciate what they do throughout the year to support small business in Broken Arrow. Our small business partners and advocates include Arrow Exterminators, Hightower Business Solutions, and AVB Bank, so thanks to them as well. Another effort that we have mainly through our EDC is to bring HR professionals together through roundtable discussions throughout the year on issues that are important to them. We've kind of pivoted a little bit and made sure that this series lines up, our webinars on COVID-19 really line up with the focus of that group too. So I want to thank Tulsa Tech and Manpower for supporting this effort. And then before we do get started, I would say everyone just you entered the meeting on mute, kind of stay on mute throughout the presentation. Utilize the chat to ask any questions that you might have. We'll try to answer all of those. We may have time, in fact, after our presenters to ask the questions in person. So, but please try to utilize that chat moving forward. Today, the topic is workforce resiliency. Pam Bridwell is the area manager for Northeast, the Tulsa area for the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission. I've known Pam and Rachel for several years. These folks have a lot of experience in this area, so we're very grateful for them taking the time, their busy time right now, away from the important work that they're doing to speak with us. Pam will be covering, just giving us some updates on claims and tips for employers to kind of keep their workforce working, and what are some programs that our employers can utilize through OESC or maybe Oklahoma Works to keep folks from being laid off. But she's also going to give us an update on the claims process as well. Rachel Hutchinson, I always do this, Hutchings, is the Executive Director of Workforce Tulsa. She's going to give us a little bit of an overview of Workforce Tulsa, because I know not everyone on the call is familiar with the organization and how to utilize it. There are existing programs that line up and can fit in with what everyone's going through right now to keep people employed. So she's going to talk about that and how stimulus dollars can be infused with two companies at this point in time, and then also a little bit on virtual interviewing and that kind of thing. So at this time, I would like to turn the presentation over to Pam. And are you there, Pam? Are you still with us?
I am here.
Okay, so the floor is yours.
Okay, as far as an update on claims, they're coming in fast and furious. We are reaching as many people as we can on a daily basis. We have got a call center that is taking the initial call, writing what's called a ticket, and we are reaching out to each individual person. Now, a lot of people have called in several times, so the ticket count is very high, and there's, let me see, I've got this number here. There's a total of 1,000 agents, but daily there's only like 750 something of them that take calls and then triage that and send it to the next tier. So yes, it goes on like that. We're going to have people starting on Monday that will be able to look at issues and assist the client there before we have to call them back from the outside because there's something wrong with their claim on the internal system. We probably have out in the field probably 500 of us, maybe. We've gotten some retirees that have come back that are assisting us with this. Just being able to delete issues is the big thing. We have had some fictitious claims previously in the system, and when they do that, it puts a stop on their claim until we can release it with their IDs. So we're doing that as quickly as possible too. Tips on making the claims. It's best if people can go online and file their claim. At times, there's a message that pops up that says your claim may or may not have been successfully executed. Most times, it is successfully executed. Case in point, my sister got that same message, and then the next day I looked and it was there. So it is taking it, although when it times out and gives you an error message, then we have a problem. So we have to take those calls, call them back, and everything like that. Like I said, the best way is to do it online, and then the best after that would be to call in and say that a person needs to file their initial claim on the phone because they don't have a computer or they don't have access to get to a computer. Another topic that Darla mentioned was about reducing the hours to avoid layoffs. That's a company decision. I can't tell you to do that, but if you do that and people are still working, if they're working for you 32 hours or more a week, it's still considered full-time in the eyes of the commission. If people do work less than 32 hours a week, they need to claim every dollar that they make gross before taxes, and they put that in. They'll tell them how many hours they worked, and then they'll ask for their wages and how many hours they normally work. And normal working hours are 40, even though they only worked 20, and they're going to be working 20 for the next several weeks. They still need to put that in, that 40 is their normal hours worked. Some people have issues when they're filing their claim, and please get this out there. Our work searches have been waived. Our job registration has been waived at this point. So there's a question on the weekly claim when they file every Sunday or Monday that says, did you perform your required work searches? Well, 0 is the requirement. So yes, they did their required work searches. So the answer to that question is yes, all the time. I don't know of anything else that I can tell you. We're taking claims. I think there was one day that we took over 60,000 claims in a day. It's a tremendous amount. It's something I've never seen. When I first started working with this agency back in the 80s, okay, it was in the 80s. The oil bust had happened, and even in 2009, when we had the recession, 2008, 2009, I've never seen it like this. This is something totally new. We're working it as fast as we can. We've got a new director at the helm, and she is just making things happen. She's the one that got us this call center that could take all these phone calls all at once. Do they write perfect tickets? No. Do they make mistakes? Yes. But we've got it on the other end and we're getting it fixed. Darla, is there anything else that you want me to address?
In terms of, can you guys hear me? All right. Okay. In terms of mass filings, Pam, can you talk to that for employers on how they go about that? At this point, did anything change?
No, everything is the same on that. It is the same as if it was in a normal time. They must contact mass claims at OESC, and there's a link on our website to do that. The website is changing rapidly too to keep up with the times. So always go to that OESC. Well, I don't know exactly where it will be each time, but the last time I looked, it was up in the top right about OESC, and it gets you back to our red page. That is our banner page and has frequently asked questions. It also has the directions for mass claims. Those are done on an Excel spreadsheet. And I had one today that had to get someone's address changed. Well, that goes directly through the mass claims department. And just make sure that if you do a mass claim, you get it in timely, like the Wednesday, at least by the Wednesday before the separation is to occur, so that they can get it loaded into the system. It's a specific spreadsheet that they send, so it will go into the system properly. Some of our system is still old DOS, and we're trying to get away from that. We're looking at new systems to use. The mass claims will talk you through everything that you need to know. But I think the most important part is it needs to be submitted at least the Wednesday before the separation.
Okay. I have another question, and I'm going to let Michelle jump in because for some reason, I can't see the chat if there's any other questions too. But the one I had, the call center, you said, right, I did see that. I hope Michelle put in the chat too, the dashboard from OESD, and I pulled those numbers from Tulsa. I did Tulsa and Wagner County, and it was 20,600 claims from those two counties, since Broken Arrow kind of is in both counties. And that's some good information if you guys want to follow that. It tells you by industry, where are all the claims coming from, obviously it's hospitality, it looked like. But on the agents that you hired, you ramped up from, I've noticed on social media, from 26 to 1,000 people. Are those folks working remotely, and are there open positions with OESC?
The positions I believe that they were talking about that were open were the call center, and we don't have any control over their hiring. They are worldwide.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Someone talked to me the other day and said, this person was from England. Okay. Oh. I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
But they're US, France, and probably just nationwide, and most of them will probably be working remotely. They have a OESC script that they follow, asking them, what they're needing to do. They give them specific answers on if they call in and say, I need to file a claim. Well, you can do that by going online because they've already called the 800 number. So some of them will be able to self-serve themselves through that method, and others, they call in to say, I need to file a claim, and we get to the ticket. That wasn't it at all.
Okay.
It was something totally different. So our time is being wrapped up with, okay, it's an initial claim. That should take us about 35, 40 minutes maybe, by asking the questions, typing the answers, and going through our system if it doesn't abort. And because of volume. It's only because of volume. We've never had this much volume before. But they get in there and it's, oh, there's a fictitious claim on it. There's a stop from a previous claim. There's we get to the point that they've put in a wrong social security number. So we have to do a little bit of investigating. So it could take quite a while.
Okay. I notice I have at least one construction company on here that may deal with subcontractors that are self-employed. Any tips for self-employed at this point in time? I know we get a lot of questions about that from our office.
We get that daily, yes. They will need to file a claim. My suggestion is we're still programming this to do the federal unemployment stuff for the contractors. It's still in the process of programming. I thought it was going to be done by yesterday, and I have not heard yet. So they will need to do that. It's very possible they will need to prove wages, and that means they will have to send in like their 1099 or something. I know it's difficult for hairdressers and stuff like that to have that sort of thing, but tax records maybe.
Okay. All right. Michelle, are there other questions right now for Pam?
Yes, Pam, we have one question asking, are there any small businesses exempt ever from paying unemployment taxes unless, of course, they are 1099ers or full-time employees?
Okay, let me break this down. Small businesses that are nonprofit or church affiliate and schools at times, OSU I know they don't pay the unemployment until a person files for it. A reimbursing employer, that's what it's called, a reimbursing employer. So where was I going with that?
Michelle, maybe you should repeat the
repeat the first part again.
Are there any small businesses exempt from paying unemployment taxes?
Per se, no. The nonprofits and churches, let's go with that.
All right, thank you.
If they are 1099 employers where there's basically they're contracted with you and to do the work, it's their responsibility. If they pay their own unemployment, that's fine. It will show. If they don't, then they would have to prove their wages after the fact. Is that making sense?
Yes. Okay. Well, we will hope that, Pam, that you'll stick around on the rest of the call. I know we have a few minutes left. We have like 40 minutes left here. There might be other questions if you have the time to stay on, and I know we can mute you, or we possibly can. So
I will mute myself until I hear questions from you.
Okay, we'll yell at you.
If there are questions that you have that I cannot answer, send those to me and I will get them to the correct division, okay?
Okay, and we will put your email in the chat here in just a little bit too, Pam. So now I want to, will that work?
It'll work. Whether I get to respond to all of them or not, I don't know.
Okay, we don't have that many people on the call, so we'll get you questions, and I know I have some unemployment insurance and COVID-19 like a fact sheet, frequently asked questions that I can provide to folks as well. I want to turn everything over to Rachel now and talk about workforce Tulsa.
Okay, thanks, Darla. So Darla wanted me to just go over a little bit about who we are, because not everyone knows that. But for those that don't know, Workforce Tulsa is a federally funded organization. We have two basic missions in life, and one is to help employers find qualified employees, and the second is to help remove barriers for folks who want to either increase their skills, increase their upward mobility, and be able to enter sectors that are in demand in our area. We're led by a board of majority of employers, which that's designated in the law, but it's very valuable because then we can really hear straight from employers what they value as far as training and skills for their industries. We have two basic funding areas. One is adult and dislocated worker, and the other is youth. We do the same basic service for both of those. We have some extra things we do for youth in regards to, you know, making sure they have a high school equivalency and some extra supports as far as job readiness goes. That employer services piece that we focus on, we actually have a business services team. So if you're an employer and when you have openings, that business services team can help you find employees through direct placement, or we could also help you with some wage subsidy programs. We have great programs that we could either reimburse the employer or just pay the employee. Most of the time that's capped at 6 months. And as long as the person is learning something that will make them more employable, that's where that money comes in. And that's really been valuable, especially for right now. So we have some flexibility from the state on how we can use those dollars. For example, if you are a manufacturer and your primary product is somewhere in oil and gas, that's probably a problem right now. There may be some options for you to diversify your sector, find another product line. We can help you train your current employees on how to retool your machines or research products and research raw materials that you may need to start in that new business with that new product. Particularly when looking at a large amount of the population that is considered that had a non-essential job. There are two large pots of those folks, right? One are in education. So most of the education folks, they're going to be okay. They're going to go back to school when the next semester or the next school year starts. You know, most of them are probably going to return to where they were originally. But those food service folks, sometimes, you know, we know that some of those restaurants are unfortunately not going to be able to reopen, right? And they're going to kind of be stuck in this. And what we're trying to say is, remember what you learned, all those skills that you learned in your food service job, which is where a lot of us started out, right? You learn customer service, you learn how to work under high pressure situations, lots of teamwork is involved. Those kinds of skills that you build will work in any organization. So what do you really need to upskill, to go to work in the healthcare field, construction, manufacturing, those places that they have essential employees? Workforce Tulsa can help you find that training, or we can help you also with things like work boots. If you're a student, we can help you with books. And if you're an employer, we can help you with that training, pay for the training for your current employees. You know, so we're looking at different ways to use our funding than we ever have before. You know, because we are funded with your tax dollars, we want to make sure we're doing the right things for you. And all of these services are free. You've already paid for them, right? Darla also mentioned virtual interviews, and we do have some options for that. If you or a group of your fellow employers are interested in virtual interviews, we can help you set that up. The state is looking into that as well. So there are a lot of us that are looking at kind of how do we help you adjust to getting the folks in the door that you need, because we know a lot of people are still hiring. So we want to make sure we're responsive to that and we're helping you however we can. Darla, is there anything?
When we talked on the phone, we were going through some of these programs too, Rachel, one thing you did mention was, because we talked about internship programs, and you said there is some funding out there that you have through your agency that can help people kind of not do away with that in this during uncertainty. So if you speak about that just a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, of course. And that's part of our wage subsidy and layoff aversion programs. So we can definitely help companies pay for internships. In fact, we're getting ready to hire an intern ourselves through that program, a media specialist, and to help us kind of beef up our website presence and virtual, trainings and videos and those job readiness pieces. And once that person is done with our things, we're going to use that position to help rural employers kind of find their way to beef up their presence online so they can start selling online and they can generate some income that way. But yeah, for anyone that's interested in an intern or interested in putting someone in on-the-job training, we can help pay for them, not only for their training, but also for their work. So yeah, it's a pretty easy process. You can go to workforcetulsa.com or you can call 918-796-1200. We know that so many people who are looking for jobs right now may not have the internet access that they need. And some of our employers too, I'm hearing, especially in our rural, we cover Osage, Creek, Pawnee, and Tulsa counties. And so broadband is a big issue. So we have to make sure that we're just as accessible without the internet as we are with the internet. But yeah, we have that business services team that we have. They will customize and create whatever you need. And if you just need direct hire, we can help with that too.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about virtual job fairs. I know that might not be the topic on everyone's mind right now at this point in time, but hopefully, when things come back, that might be something that we are looking at doing more of. And I think Workforce Tulsa is situated, like we talked about, to be the perfect agency organization to take full advantage of that and really run with it. And hopefully, some of those companies that applied for the Oklahoma Department of Commerce Reboot program line up perfectly with your funding. Yes. So that was my thing. I have at least 3 Broken Arrow companies that have applied for that. So I'll work and try to determine, even if they don't get the funding, how can we kind of steer them towards Workforce Tulsa to get that funding too. So
yeah, I was really excited to see that. I spent 25 years in manufacturing, so that was really exciting to me. And I reached out right away to Martin Roberts and said, hey, we're here. If any of those companies are getting those dollars to retool, let us know, and we can help you with that training. If it's an existing employee or if you need to hire someone that has the expertise, yeah, definitely rely on us for the training, especially for the training part of that. And we could make that, Darla, into a great braided funding model that could be really, really useful for employers.
We will push that information out as it evolves and as we are starting to talk about training too. So I do have a couple. Pam, I hope you're still on the call, because we have a couple questions that are real pointed towards claims. If you still there, if you take yourself off unmute. Okay.
I am still here.
Okay, so this one is, my company has furloughs starting on May the 1st. And and this HR professional is trying to help navigate this for their employees. A few repeated questions that they're getting are, one of them is, how does using paid time off affect a claim?
Paid time off for their leave, right? They're on vacation pay.
Right, that's what I'm
Vacation
getting,
pay,
yeah.
vacation pay has to be reported, whether it is deductible or not. It varies from incident or incident.
Okay.
Usually, if they're going to take paid time off and they have a return to work date, it counts as pay. If they
Okay.
don't have a return to work date, it's just dismissed. So that's the catch.
Okay. And then the follow-up question for that is that must the employees wait until the furlough date, which is 5/1, to start their claim? Or can they predate it, I guess is the question?
No. They cannot file the claim until after they've been separated or furloughed
Okay.
at that time. If they work the week of the 26th through the 30th, and they lay off on a Friday, that would be a week of excessive earnings. My suggestion would be to wait until the following Sunday, which is, I can't see that far on the calendar. What is that Sunday?
I don't know.
The 3rd, May
Okay.
3rd, to file the claim.
Okay.
Now, on this furlough, that is is it a specific period of time? Is it like 2 or 3 weeks? And then they return to work? That would be the perfect time to look into a mass claim and get the spreadsheet from mass claim and fill that out. It's got, names, addresses, and names, addresses, and socials on it. And that would be the simplest way. Therefore, their claim has been filed by the company, per se. We do the data entry, and they would call then when Tiffany tells you to. They send out a message with the once they've got it filed and everything, they send out instructions to the claimants or to the business to give to the employees on the exact process that they would need to do and the exact day they would need to file their week.
And I want to make sure that I've asked that question because she's asked a couple of follow-up questions. I think, Kathy, if you want to take yourself off mute, you can ask those follow-up questions that you have. Is Kathy still on here? Even? Is she? You want to take her off mute, Michelle? Is she?
I'm
Okay.
still on here. I got kicked off for a second. I'm not sure why.
Okay, go right ahead. I see you have a couple of questions in the chat. I want to make sure you get everything answered.
So I was just following up with Andrea's question about we have some employees that are going to be going on a partial furlough. So we have a couple of questions about that. If they are going to be working less than 32 hours a week, can they file an unemployment claim? And then also, I had a question about if they're using some vacation time to help with that time, how that affects their claim as well.
Okay. With a partial furlough, if they have a return to work date, their paid time off will be counted as wages. If the partial furlough is less than 32 hours a week, they would still have to claim their wages. If their weekly benefit amount is less than what their wages will be, it will be an excessive wage for that week. Okay.
Thank you.
So for the example, if they earned $300 from the employer, their benefit amount was $300, they would get their $300 from the unemployment, plus the extra $600 from the Fed. If they earned $400, they would still, the commission allows up to $100 of earnings over the benefit amount. You tell the commission that you got $400. The commission will say, okay, you can keep your $400 and we will give you your $300. If you earn $1 over your $400, so you earned $401, they would take $1 off of your unemployment. So based on your weekly benefit amount, the earnings you earn, you can earn up to $100 over your benefit amount and still keep all of your unemployment for that week. Making sense?
I believe it does.
Okay.
I know Bill has a question. Bill, are you still on here? Bill Witt?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
The question I had is, employees can file for unemployment up to the point, but not after the payroll protection plan kicked in place. Is that correct?
I do not know that. Would the payroll protection plan be paying all of their wages?
Well, I'm saying there's pre and post. So let's say last week, you know, the business hadn't been approved for the payroll protection plan and the employer was laid off. So therefore, said employee should be allowed to file for unemployment because they weren't working.
Correct.
So then the next week, then the employer is received authorization for the payroll protection plan and the employee's getting paid. Then my mind and my question is they can't have unemployment and pay from the employer through the PPP. Is that the way I should understand it?
Yes, I'm understanding that better now. Correct. They wouldn't be able to draw both because one would be considered a paycheck. The Payroll Protection Act would be considered a paycheck. It would be considered wages earned, even though they possibly weren't even working.
Okay, that makes sense. Just clarifying that question because up to and including, you know, it's an unusual time. So some people have filed for unemployment, you know, but then if we can get them back on, that's all good.
Mm-hmm.
That helps me. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, and Andrea had a question. How many employees would be considered a mass claim, Pam?
Oh my goodness. I think it has to be over 25. Rachel, you don't remember, do you? I had one. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it really fast.
And Andrea will send that to you if we have your email. We'll send you the answer to that question if Pam can't get her hands on that. Does anyone else have any other questions about filings or how to work through OESC, or maybe even questions about Workforce Tulsa and taking advantage of some of the programs through Workforce Tulsa?
I have another question.
Go ahead, Bill.
I've heard from some employees that they have claims in that are pending, and I'm sure that OESC is very busy and overrun with opportunity. Does pending mean that sooner or later they'll get to it and it's either accept, deny, or turn into a hearing?
That is something that the service center, the call center that's taking these tickets is putting on there is pending. And we get to them just like we get to everyone else with their question of what they might have had. It says it's pending. What does this mean? Well, they put it in there. When we look at it, it's probably already done and processing, and they need to start either filing their weeks because they didn't hear that when it was told to them the first time, or told them the only time. Pending could be that there is an issue on the claim.
Okay, I'll simplify and then move on. So this is not for me. This is for my daughter. She's a hairdresser, and her employer gave her a W-2 and for calendar 2019. They followed the city of Tulsa's guidance from the mayor, and they closed the salon a month ago. She's filed for unemployment. The unemployment.
Hers would be pending because we're still working on programming that into the system. That's the one that I said this morning. I thought it was going to be done by yesterday, and they're still programming it right now.
Okay, so she's not a 1099, but her employers have said that they haven't paid into unemployment. She's gotten a W-2, not a 1099, and that's probably why it's pending.
And she will need to, once we get this system in, she's going to need to send that in to show that she did have some earnings to establish the federal part of the unemployment.
She has done so. Thank you for your guidance.
She's already done that? Okay, good.
Yeah, she sent in the copy of the W-2, and she sent in her birth certificates and proof of identity and all of her income. They couldn't find the LLC number for the other company. They have since found that, but.
Okay. Now
again,
we're just waiting on programming.
Right.
Waiting on the programming.
And if the employer denies, then we can ask for the hearing. And then in the hearing, we should find out why they didn't pay their unemployment taxes as an employer.
Yes, sir.
You're
That's
awesome.
it.
You're my favorite person.
She's
Okay,
been one of my favorite people a long time.
Thank you, darling.
I did find out on that mass claim, you guys, that it is at least 25.
Good. Okay, good deal. I know Kathy, you had another question. Go right ahead.
I do, thank you. Okay, so this is a follow-up to the someone that is partially furloughed. So we were using the example, if your benefit is say $300, your weekly wages is like 401. So they would subtract that $1 from your benefit amount, but would you still qualify for that extra $600 if your working wages ends up being a little bit more than your benefit, more than $100 more than your benefit amount?
You're going to have to send that one to me because I'm not sure. I just found out yesterday that if there's a child support garnishment on your state, they take it out of the feds too. So if there's a child support garnishment that DHS has imposed, they capture that money first from us, and then they capture it from the federal deposit too. I did not know that that was going to happen. And I just found that out. I had the same question today from 2 different people.
Can you repeat that?
If there's a garnishment for child support and DHS has an order on it, they capture it from your federal and from your state claim.
So,
Are y'all still there?
Yes. Kathy, did you want to write me out the question and I will send it on to Pam for research?
Sure, absolutely. How do you want me to type that out to you?
Just ask me if excessive earnings if above the excessive earnings limit is claimed, will the federal deposit be impacted? And I'll get it to Jim as quick as I can.
Do you want, now, Pam, do you want me to share your email? Just send your email to Kathy. I didn't know if you wanted me to share your, oh, Michelle has her email in the chat. We can send all the questions to Michelle. She'll send them on to Pam.
Okay, that's good.
Will that work? Okay, so everybody sees that.
Great.
And what I can do also after this call, we usually send out a follow-up. I'll make sure that those frequently asked questions that Rachel dropped into the chat is included in an email to everyone, because sometimes we have people that can't actually jump on the call, but they still want the information. And we send a recording too. So we'll make sure that you get lots of follow-up questions. I'll send a link to the webpage for Workforce Tulsa and the phone number that Rachel mentioned. We'll get all that information together in an email to everyone that registered for this webinar. So does anyone have any other parting questions?
Darla, I would like to say that if you go to our OESC homepage, Oklahoma Employment Security Commission, and the frequently asked questions are being updated pretty regularly. I would check under businesses, frequently asked questions of COVID, UI and COVID, and that will answer a lot of your questions.
Very good. We will send that out in the follow-up email to Pam. Thank you both so much for everything. You know, on our BA Chamber website, BAChamber.com, BrokenArrowChamber.com works as well. We have a lot of resources on our COVID-19 page as well for employers, lists of businesses that are open in Broken Arrow. A lot of things that will help you navigate this uncertain time. So we'll make sure you get that as well. One of the last things I will talk to you a little bit about is today, later on today at, I think at 4, the chamber has a business after hours. If everyone's kind of stir crazy, there's a way to network via Zoom. If you're interested in going to bachamber.com and registering for that and getting that Zoom call in, it's during this time our chamber has made all these webinars available to non-members, and these opportunities to connect and share resources and ideas. So hopefully, if that's something you're interested in, please join us for that, and just continue to check our webpage, and through emails and other notifications through social media, we'll update you on other learning opportunities. Again, thank you to Rachel and Pam for their time today, and their knowledge and the work that they continue to do each and every day to put Oklahomans back to work. So thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good
Bye.
one. Bye. Bye, Bill.